Across the Baltic Sea, something extraordinary is taking shape. Yet, most people in Europe have no idea it's happening. Beneath the surface, engineers are constructing what will become the world's longest underwater road and rail tunnel. 18 kilometers long, connecting Denmark and Germany, and designed to completely transform how people and goods move across the continent. Today, this project might look like a quiet construction zone. In reality, it's the largest construction site in all of Europe. Excavators are digging a massive trench under the sea. Workers are assembling enormous precast tunnel elements the size of city blocks, and fleets of tugboats and pontoons are preparing to guide each section into place with extreme precision. This tunnel isn't just another infrastructure upgrade. It's a new link between Northern and Central Europe, and a key piece of a much bigger European plan to make transportation seamless across borders. By the time it opens, traveling across the Fehmarnbelt Strait will shrink from an hour-long ferry ride to just 10 minutes by car and 7 minutes by train. And that raises a question: why did Europe need this, and why build it underwater? For decades, the European Union has enjoyed the perks of a unified market, freer movement of goods, easier travel, and shared economic benefits. But one major challenge remains: its transportation network doesn't always function as one unified system. Major freight corridors, like the one linking the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy, often suffer from bottlenecks. Cargo trains must yield to fast passenger services. Single-track rail sections slow everything down, and delays cascade across borders. Instead of a smooth European super network, goods often travel through a maze of outdated routes. In Northern Europe, rail routes linking Scandinavia to Germany still face delays because of limited capacity and aging infrastructure. Ferries fill in some gaps, but they're slow and heavily dependent on weather. To fix this, the EU designed the Trans-European Transport Network, a massive effort to connect the entire continent with efficient railways, roads, ports, and airports. One of its flagship corridors, the Scandinavian Mediterranean Corridor, runs from Finland down to Italy, and sitting right in the middle of that route is a major missing link. That missing link is exactly what the Fehmarnbelt Tunnel is built to replace. The new gateway between Denmark and Germany. The Fehmarnbelt Tunnel is an 18-kilometer immersed tunnel that will carry both vehicles and electric trains. It connects the Danish island of Lolland to the German island of Fehmarn. Once completed, the route between Hamburg and Copenhagen will drop from 5 hours to just 2.5. Instead of relying on ferries, travelers and freight trains will glide under the sea in a straight, fast line. Trains can cross in minutes, cars can cross in 10. The connection strengthens trade, tourism, and economic efficiency between Scandinavia and Central Europe, and drastically reduces carbon emissions by shifting shipping freight onto electric rail. For the engineers building it, this is more than a transportation link. It's a chance to reshape the geography of Europe. Digging a perfect trench under the sea. Before any tunnel could be installed, one enormous job had to happen first: an underwater trench precise enough to hold nearly 90 gigantic tunnel segments. Excavation ships, massive vessels equipped with GPS-guided digging arms, carved the seabed with accuracy measured in centimeters. Survey points on both shores allowed operators to constantly calibrate the trench depth and alignment. Although sediment naturally settles on the sea floor, the Baltic Sea's stable conditions make the trench surprisingly easy to maintain. Before each tunnel element is placed, teams clean the area using equipment that functions almost like underwater vacuum machines. It's a strange combination of high-tech engineering and underwater housekeeping. With the trench ready, attention turns to the star of the project, the tunnel elements themselves. To build something this big, a factory had to be created, one so large it became Denmark's third biggest harbor. Here, workers build 89 enormous tunnel elements, each weighing as much as 13,000 elephants. These elements are created in a production line resembling a hybrid between a shipyard and a giant automotive plant. Steel reinforcement cages are built first. Walls and ceilings are added. Concrete is poured in massive controlled environments where wind, rain, and temperature can't disrupt the process. Each element is built in 9 segments, roughly 25 meters each. Casting a single segment can take more than 30 hours, and nothing can go wrong during that time. After all 9 are complete, hydraulic pushers move the full-sized tunnel section toward the outfitting basin. Only then does the real magic begin. Even though they're made of concrete, the finished tunnel elements must float long enough to be moved into position. Workers install bulkheads on each end, temporary walls that seal off the interior, turning the element into a floating vessel. Next, the giant blocks are moved into a system of basins that act like an enormous lock system. Water floods the basins, the element rises, and tugboats gently guide it toward the open sea. To keep everything secure, engineers clamp the 9 internal segments together tightly. The logic is simple. Lifting 9 loose pieces is impossible, but pressing them together turns them into one strong structure, just like holding a stack of books firmly so they move as one. From here, the journey to the tunnel's final home begins. Once an element reaches the immersion area, it meets its final piece of specialized equipment: 2 enormous immersion pontoons. These structures hold the element in balance, keeping it afloat and aligned. Steel wires, winches, and multiple anchor systems ensure total control. Lowering a tunnel element to the seafloor is a slow, deliberate dance. Every movement is monitored. Every wire is duplicated for safety. Every captain involved has practiced the entire operation repeatedly using detailed simulations. At its deepest point, the tunnel rests nearly 40 meters below sea level. Placing all 89 elements will take several years, but once aligned, engineers connect them with millimeter accuracy, creating one seamless underwater passage. Once secure, specialized pontoons cover the tunnel with protective layers of sand and stone, shielding it from ship anchors or maritime accidents for generations to come. When the Fehmarnbelt Tunnel opens, the ferry era between Denmark and Germany will effectively end. What once required an hour on a ship will become a smooth, direct underwater journey. Freight will move faster, rail lines will unclog, and Northern Europe will feel closer to Central Europe than ever before. For engineers working on the project, this isn't just a job. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape how nations connect. For Europe, it's a step toward a future where borders matter less and connections matter more. If you are enjoying deep dive explanations like this, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us bring more complex stories to life in a clear, engaging way.